Hello everyone, welcome to Cracku DILR series. In this series, we are covering 100 plus CAT level DILR sets for CAT 2026, covering easy, moderate and hard difficulty levels. In this video, you will get one complete DILR set and the PDF will be mentioned in the pinned comment. Download it before you start. Pause the video, try solving the set by your own and continue to watch the video. If you're preparing for CAT 2026 and want a serious DILR practice, then this series is for you. And if you want more DILR sets, we have thousands of them. It's very simple, just go to Google and search Cracku DILR sets.
In this question, we are told that there are 10 players, P1, P2, P3, till P10, who competed in a javelin event. The javelin event is divided into two phases. There is phase 1 and there is phase 2. We have been given some information, and using this information, we are required to calculate what are the scores of each person in each of these rounds. Now, the most important thing in this is to first figure out the order in which each of these javelin throwers are throwing in all the 6 rounds. The order for the first round is very easy. The order for the first round will be like this. First there will be P1, because nobody has thrown till now, they will throw according to the seedings. Then it will be P2, then it is P3, then P4, P5, P6, P7, P8, P9 and P10. This is for the first round. The order for the second round is also easy to calculate because we are given their scores in the first round. So if you are looking at the order of the second round, whichever person has gotten the highest in the first round is going to throw first. Who has gotten the highest in the first round? That is P7. So P7 will throw first, and the second highest will throw next, that is P5. Then we have the third highest, who is P9. Then we have P1. Next we will have P6. Then we have P3. All the others had invalid throws in the first round, so they will throw in the order of their original seedings. So the highest seed who got a 0 in the first round is P2, who will throw next. Then it is P4. And finally it is P8 and P10. Now the order, this is how the order of the throws will be there for the second round. What about the third round? For the third round, we need to have an idea about how people performed in the second round to get an idea of the order in which they threw in the third round. For that, we have been given some information. We are told that among the second round, only the last 2 were valid. That is, only P8 and P10 improved their scores in the second round. Everyone else would not improve their scores. And we are also told that both of these players qualified for the second phase. So both of them came in the top 6. And one of them finished with the least score in the first round. So this would imply that if you draw a line over here as top 6, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. P8 and P10 finished above this. So when the third round actually started, because their scores have improved and they reached the top 6, they would be over here. We don't exactly know where they are, but we know that they will be in the top 6. For the remaining people, the order would not be affected. So we know that P7 would throw, P5 would throw next, P9 would throw next, P1 would throw next. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And P6 would come after the top 6. So P6 would come over here, then P3, then P2 and P4. This is the order in which they threw in the third round. And in the third round, again, the scores are given to us. If you notice, there is only one player who improved his score, and that player is P1. The score of P3 in the third round was 79, but his score in the first round is 81.5, which is higher. So this is basically a redundant throw. It hasn't improved his score or his standings. Same is the case for even P9. He scored 81.4, but in the first round he scored 84.1. So again, this is a redundant throw. It doesn't really matter. The only person whose seeding has improved as a result of the throws in the third round is P1. So at the end of the third round, the standings as they are would be something like this. P1 would be at the top. After P1, we have P7. P1, P7, P5 and P9. Notice that we are not saying anything about P8 and P10. We don't really know where they are placed. What we know for sure about P8 and P10 is that one of them will be at the bottom. He is the 6th person over here. and the other person will be somewhere at the top. He can be either first or second or third or fourth or even fifth, but one of them will be sixth. And the people who haven't qualified for the next round, that can be confirmed. They will be P6, P3, P2 and P4. These are the people who are not qualified. This is the information that we know as far as the first phase is concerned. Before we actually go to the second phase, if you are looking at the clues that are given, we will be able to figure out the order in which these guys have actually performed. How can we actually figure it out? Because we are told that if there is a player who throws last in one round and first in another round, he is called, he gets a double, and there are two players who got a double. Let us try to figure out how this double is actually happening. Was there any double in the first round, that is between the first and the second rounds? The player who threw last in the first round, we know for sure is P10. And we also know that the player who threw first in the second round is P7. So there is no double between the first and the second rounds. Is there any double between the second and the third rounds? The person who threw last in the second round is P10. And the person who threw first in the third round can be either P7 or it is one of P8 or P10. Because we know that one of P8 or P10 has finished 6th and the other person can finish anywhere in the top 5. We don't know where exactly has finished. So there is a possibility that a double can happen in between the second and the third rounds if it is P10. We'll put a question mark over here because we are not sure whether P10 actually finished at the top of the standings at the end of the second round. If you are looking at between the third and the fourth rounds, the person who finished at the end of the third and the fourth round is either P8 or P10, because we know that one of these two has qualified for the second round with the least score. And remember that between the fourth, fifth and the sixth rounds, that is in the second phase, the person with the least standings actually throws first. In the first phase, the person with the highest score throws first, that is the top seed at that round throws first. In the second phase, the person with the least score throws first. So if say at the end of the first phase, that is at the end of the third round and the beginning of the fourth round, we have somebody who has the highest score. Then they will have people with lesser scores and we will have somebody with the lowest score. Now the person with the lowest score is going to throw first. So definitely in the third round, we have somebody who has the lowest score who will throw last, and at the start of the second phase, that is in the fourth round, that person is going to throw first. So definitely there is a double between the third and the fourth rounds. Now who got the double, we don't know. It can be either P8 or P10. Now can there be a double between the fourth and the fifth rounds and the fifth and the sixth rounds? For this to happen in the second phase, somebody who has the highest score at the start of a particular round becomes the lowest score person. Can this happen in the second round? It can definitely happen. But what is required for that to happen? The person with the lowest score has to jump above the person with the highest score. Same is the case for even the second lowest, third lowest, fourth lowest and the person with the second highest. So if all of these guys, that is if 5 people improve their scores and jump above the highest scoring person, then this guy who will throw last in the fourth round, on the basis of the fact that he has the highest score till then, suddenly becomes the lowest person at the end of the fourth round, and therefore he will throw first. Then a double is possible. But for that to happen, we need at least 5 people to improve their scores in one particular round. We are told that in the second phase, there are only 3 people who improved their scores, because in each round of the second phase, exactly one person has improved his score. There was no round in which 5 people have improved their scores. So a double cannot happen between the fourth and the fifth round or between the fifth and the sixth rounds, because the number of people who improved their scores was not 5 in any round. In fact, in each of the second phase rounds, only one person has improved his score. And if you are told that a total of 2 doubles happened, then it is imperative that P10 got his double between the second and the third round. That is, at the start of the second round, he was last, but at the end of the second round, he was first. So this would imply that at the start of the third round, P10 was over here. This would imply that P8 was over here. And therefore, the final standings, P10 is either above P1 or he is below P1. Why can we not say for sure where he was at the end of the third round? We can't say that because we know that P10 score is greater than P7 score. We know the scores of P7. P7 got 87.2 and he ended up at that score at the end of the first round, because we know who has improved his scores in the first round, second round and third round. P7 scored 87.2 in the first round and he just stayed there. P10 got a double, so P10 ended up being higher than P7. But P10's comparison with respect to P1 cannot be made for sure. What we know for sure is that P10 was at the top of the standings at the start of the third round. But P1 has improved his standings and he jumped over P7. But did he jump over P10 also? That we are not so sure. So we'll have two cases. In one case, P10 is at the top of the standings at the end of the third round, or P10 is second because P1 jumped even above P10 with his throw of 88.6. But the relative standings of everyone else is known. P10 is either above P1, then we are going to get P1, then P10 might come below P1, this two is uncertain. Then we'll have P7, P5, P9, P8, P6, P3, P2 and P4. These guys are disqualified. They did not qualify for the second phase. Now let us look at the second phase. In the second phase, let us do it over here so that there is no confusion. Let us consider both the cases. In the first case, P10 is at the top of the standings. Then we have P1, then P7, then P5, P9 and P8. This is one case. In this case, P1 improved his score in the third round, but he was not able to score higher than P10. P10 was at the top of the standings at the start of the third round. In the second case, P1 has improved his score even more than P10. P10 was at the top of the standings, but P1 improved his score by a lot and he jumped even above P10. Then we have P10 over here, then P7, P5, P9 and P8. These are the two cases that we have to consider. What is the information that is given to us about the second round? We are told that exactly one person improved his score in the second round in each round of the second phase. And we also know that P10 did not get a medal. So if P10 entered the second phase as the top scorer, and we know that only 3 people at max have improved their scores because one person has improved in each of the rounds, then it is important that P1, P7 and P5 jumped above P10. We are also told that the person has improved their score by the same amount in each of these improvements. In the fourth round, one person has improved, in the fifth round, one person has improved, and in the sixth round, one person has improved. And that measure of improvement in each of these rounds is the same. This would imply that whatever is the improvement, if you are calling that to be I, the final score of P1 will be 88.6 plus I. The final score of P7 will be 87.2 plus I. And the final score of the next highest will be 86.4 plus I, because the improvement was the same. Now P1 would have won the gold medal, P7 would have won the silver medal and P5 would have won the bronze medal. But the difference between both of them in the first case would be 1.4 because I gets cancelled, and in the next case it would be 0.8. But we are told that the difference between the gold medalist and the silver medalist is 1, and the difference between the silver medalist and the bronze medalist is also 1. This would imply that this case is not possible. So at the start of the fourth round, P1 was at the top, P10 was second, P7 was third, P5 was fourth, P9 was fifth and P8 was sixth. In each of the rounds, again exactly one person has improved their scores. Now if the person who has improved their scores, P1 is definitely a medalist. We don't know which medal he got. This guy is not a medalist, so we have 2 medalists amongst P7, P5 and P9. Now let us try to identify who are the 3 people who can actually improve their scores. If one of the person who has improved that score is say P1, then it would imply that there are 2 people amongst P7, P5 and P9 who also improved their scores by the same margin. Again in the same case like earlier, if you assume that the improvement score is I, P1 would become 88.6 plus I, and then we will have 2 people amongst P7, P5 and P9. The scores of P9 is 84.1, and each one of them will either have 87.2 plus I and 86.4 plus I and a possibility of 84.1 plus I. But again the difference between the gold medalist, silver medalist and bronze medalist will not be equal to 1. All of them, the differences are not equal to 1. So the only case in which this is possible, if you read the phrasing clearly, is that we are told that the gold and the bronze medalists improved their scores in the 5th and the 6th rounds respectively. So 5th round and 6th round, 2 people have improved their scores. One medal winner improved his score in the 4th round. Now if this one medal winner is unique, that is if this guy is say the silver medalist, if 3 different people have improved their scores, then, and because the improvement was constant, you will not get the difference to be exactly equal to 1. What this would imply is that this one medal winner is either the gold medalist or he is the bronze medalist. That is, one person has improved his score twice in the second phase and another person has improved his score once. And finally, both of them also have jumped above P10 and become medalists. So, if you are looking at the final standings, P1 cannot improve his score. That is, he cannot be the guy who improved his score 2 times. And he cannot be the guy who improved his score once. Why is that the case? Because we know that P10 did not win a medal. So we want 2 people who are below P10 to actually jump above him. Now P1 is already above him and we know that only 2 people have improved their scores. One person has improved his score by 2i, whatever is that increment. And one person has improved his score by I. Both of them have to come from P7, P5 and P9. Only then will P10 not win a medal. So one thing we can say for sure is that the final score of P1 is 88.6. We don't know whether he is a gold medalist or whether he is a silver medalist or whether he is a bronze medalist. But we know that P1 ended with 88.6 and he was a medalist. So let us consider the 3 cases. The first case is P1 is a gold medalist. The second case is that he is a silver medalist. And the third case is that he is a bronze medalist. Why is this important? This is important because when we are told that gold and silver differ by 1 meter and silver and bronze differ by 1 meter, and if you know that one of them is 88.6, we can immediately figure out the standings of the remaining people. In the first case, the gold medalist would win 88.6, the silver medalist would win 87.6 and the bronze medalist would win 86.6. What are the scores of the people before this round has started or before the second phase has started? They were 87.2, then we have 86.4 and 84.1. If you are looking for a silver medalist who got 87.6, that person clearly has to be 87.2 at the start of the second phase. So his improvement is 0.4. And the guy who ended up with 86.6 has to be 86.4. So this is 0.2. This is matching with one of the requirements that we have. That is, one person has to improve his score by twice as much as the other person. Because one person has improved his score by 0.4 and another person improved his score by 0.2. So we are essentially saying that in this case, P1 wins the gold medal, 87.2 that is P7 wins the silver medal and 86.4 that is P5 wins the bronze medal. This seems to be fine, but there is a contradiction over here. What is the contradiction? The contradiction is that P5 improved his score from 86.4 to 86.6. But we want P7 and P5 both of them to be jumping above P10. We know that at the start of the second phase, P10 was above P7. That is, P10 was above 87.2. Now, if P5 ends up with 86.6, yes, he has improved his score by 0.2, but he is not going to jump above P10. In this particular case, P10 would be lying somewhere over here. He would be less than 87.6, but he would be greater than 87.2. So P10 will actually get the bronze medal and not this guy P5. So this case has a contradiction. That is not possible. Let us consider the second case. In the second case, P1 won the silver medal, so he has 88.6. So the gold medal has to belong to somebody who ended up with 89.6 and the bronze medal will end up with somebody who got 87.6. How is this possible? This is possible only if the 89.6 was by the person who got 87.2. So his improvement was 2.4 and 87.6 is with the guy who got 86.4. So his improvement is 1.2. Now again this is double, 2.4 is double of 1.2. So this is working with one of the constraints that we have. This would also tell us that P10 was somewhere over here. That is, P10 was greater than 87.2 but he was less than 87.6. In this case, both P7 as well as P5 jump over P10. Say if P10 score at the start of the second phase was 87.5 or 87.4 or 87.3, this is valid. And one of this can be true. There is no contradiction apparent over here. If you are looking at the last case is that P1 won the bronze medal. So P1 got 88.6. So the silver medalist got 89.6 and the gold medalist got 90.6. In this case, you will not be able to satisfy the constraint that the improvement of one person is twice the improvement of the other. You can look at different permutations and combinations. You will figure out that nothing actually fits. Just to make one thing clear, say 90.6 was the improvement by 86.4. The improvement will be 4.2. And 89.6 was the improvement by from 87.2. This is 2.4. But 2.4 into 2 is not 4.2. So, and you can look at the other permutations also. You will figure out that there is no way in which you will get a constraint such that the improvement of one person is twice the improvement of the other person. So, the only case that is possible is if P1 wins the silver medal, P7 wins the gold medal, and P5 wins the bronze medal. Just to make everything clear, let us actually write down the order in which these guys have actually thrown so that we can then go ahead and answer the questions that follow. In the first round, it is quite clear. Actually, we can write down over here. In the second phase, we'll actually make it clear. In the second phase, say, the fourth phase, who was the person who was at the bottom? The person who was at the bottom was P8. So, the person who throws will be P8. He will throw first. The person who was at the second bottom, this is the order, right? The second bottom will be, here will be P10. P10 did not top, that also we have figured out. So, it was something like this. So, the second person would be P9. The third is P5. Fourth is P7. Fifth is P10. And last is P1. We are told that the person who won the gold medal improved his score in the fifth round, and the person who won the bronze medal improved his score in the sixth round. One medal winner improved his score in the fourth round. We now know, because the improvement, the same improvement that was there in each of the rounds of the second phase is 1.2. That has been figured out, because the improvement in the case where P1 won silver from 88.6 was 2.4 in P7, and the improvement for P5 is 1.2. So, the measure of improvement that happened in each of the three rounds is 1.2. So, this would tell us that P7, if you are looking at the scores, P7 was 87.2. Now, he becomes 87.2 plus 1.2. So, he becomes 88.4. This is at the end of the fourth round. P1 was 88.6. P5 was 86.4. P9 and P8 we can ignore because they didn't really win any medal. Now, with this improvement, P7 jumped over P10. So, the order of throwing for the fifth round would be that P8 again was the least, so he threw first. Then came P9. Then came P5. Now P10 comes. P10 is right now third. Then P7 throws. P7 right now has 88.4 and P1 has 88.6. Who improved his score in the fifth round? The person who won gold improved his score in the fifth round. So again P7 improved his score. So from 88.4 now he jumps to 89.6. So at the start of the sixth round he was at the top of the standings. So the order of throwing for the sixth round will be that P8 threw first, P9 next, P5 next, P10, now P1 throws and P7 throws, because at the start of the sixth round the best score of P1 is 88.6 and the best score of P7 is 89.6. This is the order of throwing for the sixth round. In this round the bronze medalist, that is P5, jumped above P10. His score was 86.4 at the start of the sixth round, but at the end of the sixth round it became 87.6. Now this is how the order of throwing happened in each of the six rounds. Let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. Which two players got the double? We have figured out which two players got the double. The double, one of them is P10 and the other is P8. P10 got the double between the second and the third rounds. At the start of the second round he was the last, but he threw very well, and at the start of the third round he was the first, so he got the double. P8 was at the last of the people at the end of the third round, but because there was a switch in the ordering, in the second phase the person who is at the last will throw first. So P10 and P8 got their doubles. Who won the silver medal? The silver medal was won by P1. Who threw the last javelin in the event? The last javelin was thrown by P7. P7 improved his score in the 4th round and in the 5th round. At the end of the 5th round, he was the topper. So he gets to throw last in the 6th round. So the correct answer is P7. What was the final score of the silver medalist? The silver medalist was P1. His final score is 88.6. Which of the following can be the final score of P8? What do we know about P8? We know that P8 qualified for the second phase, but he ended up as the last. So P8, if you are looking at the standings, P8 has to finish above P6 and P8 has to finish below P9. What is the standing of P6? P6 is 82.5. And what is the standing of P9? P9 is 84.1. So what we know is that P8 has to be greater than 82.5 and P8 has to be less than 84.1. This is what we know. 81.9 is less than 82.5. So that is not true. 0 is definitely less than 82.5. That also is not true. 85.1 is greater than 84.1. So that also is not true. The only option which is possible is option C, which is 82.7, which will lie between both of these numbers. How much did the gold medalist improve his score in the second phase? The gold medalist was P7. He ended up with 89.6. He improved his score by 2.4. In the 4th round, he improved his score by 1.2. In the 5th round, he improved his score by 1.2. The bronze medalist improved his score by 1.2 in the 6th round. So overall, the gold medalist improved his score by 2.4, which is option C. One of the things that I want to tell you is in these last few days in the run up to CAT, solving a lot of questions will be very useful to you. So we have created a lot of PDFs which include useful questions. You can download those PDF. You have to just Google search Cracku Quant topic wise questions and you will get the PDFs and try to solve them on your own. Once you solve the question or once you struggle to solve the question, the link for the video solution is given in the PDF itself. These PDFs have been downloaded thousands of times in the last few weeks. I'm sure they'll be very useful to you. Download these PDFs and try to solve them. Again, just you have to Google search Cracku Quant topic wise questions to get the PDFs.